Hey, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we'll be taking a look at the Power Rangers Legacy White Ranger figure from Bandai. Let's go ahead and get this figure free from its plastic prison, take a look, and see what we think about the White Ranger. And here's the White Ranger completely out of the box. This figure is based off the character of Tommy Oliver, who became the White Ranger in the second season of the American Power Rangers TV show, as well as at the same time becoming the leader of the team. Now, the rest of the team remained in their Mighty Morphin / Zoo Ranger suits, but the White Ranger suit is actually taken from the 17th season of the Super Sentai series called Gosei Sentai Dairanger. Now, in this particular series, the character, the White Ranger, is referred to as the Kiba Ranger and is actually a 9-year-old boy named Ko who becomes the 6th member of the Dairanger team. So this explains why some of the scenes of the White Ranger in the American show show him getting really excited and acting very childish. And I always wondered why he did that, and then I didn't realize it until I watched through Dairanger and it all clicked, and I'm like, that makes so much more sense now. So anyway, moving on. As with the Green Ranger from Series 1 of this line, in lieu of a sidearm piece and a Build-A-Figure or Build-A-Zord piece, they give us his actual sword. They give us the White Ranger's actual sword, which is called Saba here in America, and Byakoshinken, I think that's right, Byakoshinken, there we go, Byakoshinken in Japan. And it makes a world of difference when you have these figures with their signature weapon. Like I've said in the previous Power Ranger reviews, they need their signature weapons. I don't know what it is or exactly why, but it just actually completes the figure for me to see the White Ranger holding his sword. And now granted, if you didn't have the White Ranger with his sword, it wouldn't make a lot of sense because they're pretty much, Saba is pretty much its own separate character. And at the same time is tethered to the White Ranger, so one without the other is kind of pointless. So as much as I would like a White Tiger Zord figure that I could build, even though I don't know how they would have included it when there's only one White Ranger figure for the Zord, that wouldn't make any sense for them to do that. I'm still just thankful that they were able to give us his sword. So that's really cool. Now, if they want to go ahead and give us a White Tiger Zord separately, that would be fantastic too. And Bandai, if you're listening, I totally buy that. These figures are about 6.5 inches tall, and unfortunately that half inch might cause some problems for those of us who like to mix and match our figures with other figures from other lines in our collection. So I went ahead and took some comparison shots just so you can see how this figure is going to measure up with some other figures you might have in your collection. So let's go ahead and take a look at those shots. Here he is with the rest of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers team. Here he is with the Green Ranger that was previously released in this line. Here he is with the Mighty Morphin / Dairanger White Ranger figure from SH Figuarts. And for those who like to mix it up with their lines, here he is with Marvel Legends Wolverine. Here he is with Rogue from Marvel Legends. Here he is with Masters of the Universe Classics He-Man. Here he is next to Leonardo from SH Figuarts. And here he is with Saitama from Figma. Alright, so let's talk about the sculpt of this figure. Now, this is a basic buck figure that we've seen before in this line, in the males of this line. So there are abs sculpted under the chest armor, but that's about it on the base figure body. I mean, the rest of the figure is what we've seen before, essentially. However, unlike some of the other figures in this line, the figure as a whole is full of detail. The head sculpt is dead on as far as I can tell, and the chest armor looks fantastic. Mine has like some slight nicks on the shoulders, which I don't know, like some of you might not like that, but I actually think it's pretty cool because it makes it look a little worn and like it's seen some fights and stuff. The chest emblem looks great. It could use a little bit of black wash, but you know, for what's there, it's not a problem. And as well as the arm and leg armor pieces, they could use some too, but they look fantastic as they are anyway. And the symbol on his belt is awesome. Like, I keep forgetting that it's so tiny. It's right there though, but there is detail there. And they didn't skimp on Saba/Byako Kenshinken either, which I was worried about. I was thinking they might just cut some corners here and there, but no. In fact, there might even be more detail in the actual sword than there is in the entire figure as a whole, and that's awesome. Again, as we've seen with other figures in this line, the majority of the figure is cast in the color of their suit, so there's not a lot of room for paint error. And this process does more than work as a cost-saving maneuver. It actually helps to keep a consistency with the shade of color throughout the entire figure, which looks great on this White Ranger figure. Like, I cannot tell you how much I actually love the white that they used for this figure. I think it's perfect, especially compared to the SH Figuarts version of the character that has a more pearlescent white to it, or at least mine does. Like, I don't know, I never would have thought that I actually preferred the Bandai America version of the White Ranger to the SH Figuarts version, which I love. But this white just pops, and it's so vibrant, and it just captures your attention, and I love it. Like I've mentioned in my other reviews, though, of the Power Rangers figures, that especially this series, or this wave, I should say, I had seen a White Ranger in the wild before I found this one, and it had some weird paint issue on the visor part of the helmet. Thankfully, the only slight resemblance to that issue I found in my figure is on its back, on the armor of its back. I'm not sure how well this will come through, like in photographs and stuff, and in the video, but in fact, it's not terribly noticeable, but it's something to be aware of. The other thing I noticed is what appears to be the injection point on the helmet. It's pretty bad when you zoom in and enhance and darken the photos and stuff, but thankfully when you're posing it under bright lights, you don't really notice it that much, and you can kind of overlook it given where it's at on the figure. But those are just some things you might want to be aware of and keep an eye out for. Alright, let's take a look at the White Ranger and what kind of articulation you're going to get out of this guy. Well, first off, let's start by showing that you can remove Saba and the sword hilt or holt or holster or whatever you want to call it. You can remove that. It's just a peg, so it just goes right there. So you can take this off. I'm going to do that for this part of the review. And let's start with his head. So the White Ranger, he has a 360 rotation at the head, so you can look all the way around. He can look up about this far, and he can look down about this far. So then moving on to his arms can go up this far, and they do have a 360 rotation at the shoulder as well as the bicep, but due to the arm pads, or the shoulder pads I should say, they do impede that motion a little bit, at least getting in there to make it work. He has double jointed elbows, and he does have a 360 rotation at the wrist as well as a pivot, so you can get a lot of articulation out of his wrist. Moving on to his legs, he can kick forward this far. Let's see if I can get a better shot of that. There you go. He can kick back, not very far. It's almost kind of out. He can kick out pretty far, which is really cool. And his knees, I should say, are double jointed, so he can do this. And he does have a pivot on his ankle, which allows for a lot of room for articulation. He does have a calf cut, a 360 calf cut, and he has a thigh swivel. And also, since his legs appear to be on a ball joint, you have an extra, I don't know what you'd call that, a higher thigh, a groin joint. I don't know what you'd call that, but he has that as well. And so for he does have an ab crunch, I guess you could call it. Actually, I don't know that it's a crunch. I don't know. I guess it is an ab crunch. He can go back about this far, and he can go forward, not that far because of the shield on his chest, the armor, I should say. But he does have a 360 rotation at the waist as well, but mine is super tight. There you go. So you can get full range of motion there. And that's going to be it for all the articulation that you're going to get out of the White Ranger. I can't say for sure how much of my nostalgia for this character is actually biasing my opinion on this figure over some of the other figures in this line. I mean, if you break it down, it's basically the same male buck that we've seen throughout this line, but with a different helmet and some armor parts. However, that helmet and those armor parts are so badass. And hey, did I mention that they have a matching sword with a talking tiger's head as a pommel or pommel? I'm not sure. I just looked that word up. It's the thing at the bottom or top of the sword handle, however you look at the sword. It's the thing that keeps your hand from sliding out. Regardless, the main point here is that it's a talking tiger's head as a sword. I'll pause for effect here. I remember freaking out whenever he made his first appearance in the White Light episodes on the American Power Rangers, and then again when I watched through Die Ranger, and now that feeling persists even with this figure in my hand. The colors and detail are stunning and damn near perfect in my opinion. If I have to nitpick and be petty, the only thing I can think of would be that you could possibly do to improve on this figure would be to put some black wash on the chest emblem and on the belt to make them pop a little bit more. But again, like I said, that's me being petty. Again, having the character's signature weapon changes everything for this figure. It brings this figure to life, in my opinion, and totally completes the look of this figure. Oddly enough, after playing with this figure though, and then doing the comparison shots with the SH Figuarts White Ranger, I never thought I'd say this, but I think I might actually prefer this figure to the Figuarts version. This is the White Ranger figure that I've always wanted. It's vibrant, it's got the detail, it's the right height, and I don't know, I can't say enough good things about this figure. It's got all the articulation you could want. It's got all the detail. It goes good with the rest of the figures. And I don't know, even if you only buy this figure, I highly recommend it. And it's totally worth your time and your $20. Well, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for watching, and if you liked what you saw, hit that like button. And if you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button while you're at it. And hey, and if for some reason you want to hear more from me, check out my links to my other podcast in the description below. Be sure to check back here every day for more opening goodness right here on Easy Opens. Else time.